and the name of the chapter is Magnetic Effects of Current. In first two chapters, first and second chapter, we discussed that in first chapter we discussed that what is electric charge. Electric charge is the region of electric current. Then what are its properties, how it exerts force, okay. Then how can you collect the charge at a point, how can you do some work with the help of the charge, that we discussed in chapter number 2. Then in chapter number 3, when this charge is stored somewhere and is connected in a circuit, it starts to flow from one end to other end, and that becomes an electric current. About that electric current we discussed in chapter number 3. Now chapter number 4 is, if current starts flowing, then there are some properties that are required by the charge due to its flow. Means there are few properties which are the properties of electric current, and that property particularly is the generation of magnetic field around it. When current flows, it generates, it have an electric field, it is already having an electric field, but now when it starts moving, when the current is there, means a charge have electric field, but a current have electric as well as magnetic field. So that magnetic field we are going to discuss now, the magnetic effects of current. I will divide this chapter into two parts. One is Biot-Savart law and its applications. Biot-Savart law is just analogous law to Coulomb's law. Whatever role the Coulomb's law has played in electrostatics, the same role is played by Biot-Savart law in magnetism, in magnetic effects of current. Okay. Then second portion will be about the motion of charged particles in electric and magnetic fields. So I will divide this chapter into such type of, in this way, in two parts. Okay, so today I am starting the first one, Biot-Savart law and its applications. Okay, first of all, a little bit, one or two lines about the history of this magnetic effect of current. It was first observed by Hans Christian Ørsted in 1820. He was a Dutch physicist. Dutch means he was from Holland, and he was a Dutch physicist, and his name was Hans Christian Ørsted. In 1820, first time he observed that a current passing through a conductor have some magnetic effect. Okay. So now we start about the first topic, and that is the Biot-Savart law itself. Biot-Savart law. As I told you that it is analogous to Coulomb's law in electrostatics. Suppose current is flowing through a conductor I, and suppose in the direction from x to y, and you want to find, suppose P is a point, okay, and you want to find the magnetic field at this point P due to the current carrying conductor, due to the current carrying wire. So for that we have this Biot-Savart law. So now this is the point P where I want to find out the magnetic field, right? So I will consider a infinitesimally small part of this current carrying wire. Suppose its length is dl, then the current I passing through this dl will be in this direction, and this completely will be called as a current element. This section, this part of length, a part of the wire having current passing through it will be called as current element. Current element. So I considered a current element here, and now let us suppose that the distance of this current element from the point P is r. Suppose this distance, this is r vector, from here to the point P, the length is r and this direction is r cap. Okay, the direction is r cap. Now one thing I want to make it clear here, that current is a scalar quantity, but current element is considered as a vector quantity. Okay, current is a scalar quantity, but current flowing through an infinitesimally small conductor would be considered as a vector quantity. So I will mark like this, ideal vector. So this is ideal vector from this end to this end. Suppose A to B, right? This A to B is your current element ideal vector, and this point P here, suppose the magnetic field due to this current element is dB vector. dB vector, suppose any direction. Let us suppose that the angle here is theta. Okay, so now Biot-Savart law is based on the observations. Now what it says that the magnetic field at P is directly proportional to ideal vector cross r cap. Ideal vector cross r cap, this ideal vector and its cross product with the unit vector r cap, the dB is directly proportional to this and inversely proportional to r square. Okay, the distance of point P from the current element, it's a square, right? Okay, so it means that dB is proportional to ideal vector cross r cap upon r square, dB vector, right? Okay, so from here you can say that dB vector is equal to k ideal vector cross r cap upon r square, right? Or you can say that it is equal to k ideal vector cross r vector upon r cube, because r cap you can write as r vector upon r. So r vector upon r into r square will become r cube. Using this formula, r cap equals to r vector upon r. Any vector divided by its magnitude gives you the unit vector. So either means this can be a formula. Now if you choose this, what is k? K is the constant of proportionality. This constant of proportionality, its value depends on the medium in which the current element is placed and the point is placed, as well as it depends on the kind of system of unit you have adopted. Okay, means if you have adopted the SI system or CGS or which system you have adopted. So for if your system is SI and your medium is vacuum, then the value of K is mu naught upon 4 pi. Okay, mu naught upon 4 pi, and the value of mu naught is mu naught value is 4 pi into 10 raised power minus 7. This is Weber per ampere and per meter. That I will tell you how to obtain this SI unit, that I will discuss with you. This mu naught, this value mu naught is called as permeability. Permeability of free space. Means simple mu simply is called as permeability. Okay, and if it is mu naught, then it means that it is the permeability of free space, also called as absolute permeability. When we use the word absolute, it refers to the medium, vacuum or free space. So mu naught means absolute permeability and mu means permeability. So what should be the what you should have here? Actually it should be mu upon 4 pi, where mu is permeability of the medium upon 4 pi. But if suppose you have used SI system and your medium is vacuum, then that mu will become mu naught. Okay, we have a fixed value of 4 pi into 10 raised power minus 7 Weber per ampere per meter, and therefore what will be the value of this? It will be 4 pi and 4 pi will cancel. You have 10 raised power minus 7 Weber per ampere per meter. Okay, or it is also called as Tesla per ampere meter, because Tesla is 1 Weber per meter square. 1 Tesla is nothing but 1 Weber per meter square. Okay. Remember this, that Tesla, you will come to know when we will go through the chapter, you will be clear about these units. Tesla is the SI unit of magnetic field. Weber is the SI unit of magnetic flux. Okay, this term magnetic flux we will discuss later on, but now for the time being you just remember that there is some unit called as Weber, which is the unit of magnetic flux. And Tesla is the unit of magnetic field. That also we will discuss afterwards, that what is magnetic field, that we are going to discuss. So Tesla, what is the relation between them? 1 Tesla is 1 Weber per meter square. Okay. So here you can see that Weber, this is per meter. You can make it per meter square and multiply it with meter. Right? See, let me repeat it here. Suppose you have this one Weber per meter, your per ampere, right? So you can write this as Weber per meter square into meter into per ampere. You have divided by meter and you have multiplied by meter also. Now this is your Tesla. So it becomes Tesla per ampere meter. Tesla per ampere meter. Okay. This way, either you can use this SI, so this unit Weber per ampere per meter, or you can use Tesla per ampere meter. Both of them are the SI units of mu naught, okay, called as absolute permeability of free space. Now I will tell you how to obtain that unit. So we have this, dB is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi into ideal. Before just obtaining that, let us, because it would be easier after that, let us obtain the magnitude of this magnetic field. So we have dB vector equals to mu naught upon 4 pi into ideal vector cross r cap upon r square. If I want to find magnitude of dB, it means I will find the magnitude of this part. Mu naught upon 4 pi is already a magnitude, constant value. Then 1 upon r square, already a constant value, and the magnitude of this will be ideal vector cross r cap is ideal r cap magnitude, ideal magnitude into r cap magnitude into sine theta. See, A cross B is AB sine theta. This is the magnitude of A cross B. And what is A cross B? AB sine theta n cap. So since we are finding only the magnitude, so therefore we will write AB sine theta. Now this value, magnitude of r cap is 1. So it becomes ideal sine theta. Right? So therefore the magnitude here will become, this formula will become here. The magnitude of this part is ideal sine theta upon r square. This is the magnitude of magnetic field at the point P, which is at a distance of r from the from this current element. Okay. Now we come on to that part. We will obtain the SI unit of mu naught upon 4 pi. Okay. Now from here you can say that mu naught upon 4 pi is equal to dB r square upon ideal sine theta, right? Or mu naught is equal to 4 pi into dB r square upon ideal sine theta, right? Now this 4 pi is a constant quantity, okay? And sine theta is also unitless, because this is a simple ratio of an angle. So this is also unitless, this is unitless. So you can remove them. Now what is the unit of this dB? Now we have I will find out the Tesla unit, because dB is measured in Tesla, and from there you can convert it into that Weber unit. See, just simply remember that we have E is equal to, we had a formula phi E equals to E ds cos theta, right? The electric flux was E ds cos theta. So E into area, or simply you can say electric field multiplied with area is your something called as electric flux. So electric field was measured in terms of Newton per Coulomb, and area is measured in meter square. So Newton meter square per Coulomb was the unit of electric flux. Similarly, we have a magnetic flux also, which is denoted by phi B is equal to B into A. Instead of E, you will write B. So it means that the SI unit of this is Weber, and the SI unit of this is Tesla, and A is meter square. So how much will be Tesla? It is Weber upon meter square. That means Weber per meter square, that I discussed with you earlier. So I will use the unit here. I will use this Tesla unit for dB, and from there you can convert it to Weber unit. Okay. So this is your Tesla. This is meter square upon I is your current. So what is the SI unit of current? Ampere. Okay. Ampere is the SI unit of current. Current itself is a fundamental quantity. In SI system, we have 7 fundamental quantities: mass, length, time, then electric current, temperature, luminous intensity, and quantity of matter. So electric current itself is a fundamental quantity, so we will write ampere. Okay. Then DL is again meter, right? So it becomes, they will cancel. So Tesla per ampere meter, right? Tesla per ampere meter. This is your SI unit of mu naught. Now from here you can change Tesla with this, and it becomes Weber per meter square will become per meter per ampere, because per meter square into meter will become per meter. You have per meter square and a simple meter. So when you will multiply, powers will add, -2 plus 1 will become -1. So Weber per ampere per meter, or Tesla per ampere meter, right? This way you can obtain the SI unit of mu naught upon 4 pi. The value is 4 pi into 10 raised to power -7. Okay, so that your final value mu naught upon 4 pi becomes simply equal to 10 raised to power -7. Okay, so what we have formula finally for medium, if suppose SI system we have used and medium is vacuum, then the formula is dB is equal to 10 raised to power -7 IDL sin theta upon r square Tesla. This is your formula for the magnetic field at the point P due to the current element when the system is placed in vacuum, and we have followed the SI system of units. We have chosen that. Okay. So suppose if you want to find out that what is the net magnetic field B, it will be integral of dB simply. So it means that it is integral of mu naught upon 4 pi being constant will come outside, and you get I dl vector cross r cap upon r square. This is your B, right? This is the total magnetic field. Now we have some points to be discussed. First thing is, what will be the direction of magnetic field? Because it is a vector quantity, so this you can say that it is the magnitude. Here you have the formula. What will be magnitude? Magnitude, this is B vector. Magnitude B is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi integral I dl sin theta upon r square, where theta is the angle between ideal vector and r vector, right? So this is the magnitude. Now what is the direction? How to find out the direction? Just like any quantity that we obtain from cross multiplication, how we obtain the direction of any product of cross multiplication, any outcome of cross multiplication, here also we find the direction in the similar way. Means because we are using the cross product, you have dB vector is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi I dl vector cross r vector upon r cube. So all these quantities are scalar. So whatever is the direction of this ideal vector cross r vector, that will be the direction of dB vector. Now how you obtain the direction of this? It is, if you find I dl vector cross r vector, you get I dl into r into sine theta into n cap. Okay, ideal r sine theta n cap. How you get the direction of n cap? By right hand thumb rule or right hand screw rule. So what you have to do is, you place the screw, right hand screw here, and remember that when you rotate the screw anti-clockwise, okay, it comes out, it moves outward, and when you move it clockwise, it goes inward, it moves inward. So what you have to do is, you will place the screw here, and with the help of your right hand, you rotate the screw in the direction of theta, and the direction of theta is this one, okay, from ideal towards r, right, from ideal towards r, because you are taking ideal cross r vector, not r vector cross ideal vector. So from ideal towards r, you will move the screw in such a way that the direction of rotation of screw is from ideal towards r. So you will have to rotate it clockwise. When you will move it clockwise, so the screw will move inward. So it means that the direction of dB vector is perpendicular to the board and inward. Okay. In other words, you can use this right hand thumb rule also. You just hold it, align your thumb direction along the direction of current on ideal. Now you can see that my fingers are curling this way. So for all the points which are on the right side of this DL, the direction of magnetic field is into the board, because the fingers are curling this way. So all the points which are on the right side of this ideal, the direction of magnetic field is into the board, and for all the points which are on the left side of ideal, the magnetic field is coming out of the board. You can see that fingers are curling this way. So this method also you can use. Direction is upward current, then you just assume to hold the conductor with your right hand, align your direction of thumb along the direction of current, and observe the values observe the direction of the rotation of curling of the fingers. For right side, it is curling this way into the board. So all the points here, the direction of magnetic field is into the board, and for all the points this side, it is outwards from the board. So either you can use right hand screw rule, or you can use right hand thumb rule, or you can use right hand Maxwell's cork screw rule. That is again same thing. When you rotate this, that cork screw moves inward. It is nothing but that Maxwell's cork screw rule is nothing but just simply that right hand screw rule only, the same that I told you just now. Okay. Alright, so now few notes here. You can see that the magnetic field is directly proportional to sine theta. Okay, the strength of the magnetic field is direct, because we obtained that formula, dB equals to mu naught upon 4 pi ideal sine theta upon r square. So if you look at the magnitude, it is directly proportional to sine theta, right? It means that, and sine theta is proportional to theta, so you can say that it is proportional to theta. So it simply, what it means, that when theta equals to 0, what about dB? It will be 0. Where theta will be 0? Theta will be 0 when your point P will lie on the conductor itself. So for all the points which are located on the conductor itself, there the magnetic field is 0, right? Because theta becomes 0. When this point will reach here, this angle will become 0, and if angle will become 0, then sine theta will become 0, and therefore dB will become 0. So for all the points which lie on the conductor itself, there the magnetic field of the current carrying conductor is always 0. There is no magnetic field. And similarly for 180 degree also, means this side also, because sine 180 is again for both 180 or 0, sine theta will be 0, therefore dB is 0, right? Then second thing is dB is inversely proportional to r square. One more thing you can observe is the magnetic field, strength of magnetic field is inversely proportional to r square, means the magnetic field follows inverse square law and any force, any field that follows inverse square law extends up to infinity. This is the property of inverse square law. Just like your electric field, which extends up to infinity, where the electric field will become zero at infinity from a charge. Similarly, magnetic fields also extends up to infinity, up to a large distance. Okay, so from these 2 points we observe the 2 facts. Okay, now we move on to the next topic, and that is difference between electric and magnetic field. So here we discussed that how you will find out magnetic field at a point by general method. What is by the definition of Biot-Savart law? How you will find out the magnetic field? Its direction, magnitude, everything. Okay. Difference between electric field and magnetic field. What is the difference between the two? First difference, and which is very much important difference, is that electric fields are created by you can say are created by the charges. Okay, magnetic fields are produced by currents. Means the source of electric field is a charge and the source of magnetic field is current element, right? Now charge is a scalar quantity and current element, as we discussed, is a vector quantity. So the first major difference between the two fields is that where the electric field is a product of a scalar quantity, is the result of a scalar quantity, that is charge. Magnetic field is the product of a vector quantity, which is current element. Okay, this is first major difference. Second is, we know that in nature we have two different types of charges. One is positive, other is negative, right? So the direction of electric field, electric lines of forces, is always from positive charge towards the negative charge. They originate at positive charge and they terminate at the negative charge. Means they originate from one point and they terminate on some other point. So it means that the electric lines of forces, they form open loops. You can see that this is a open loop. Okay, electric lines of forces forms open loops, whereas the two magnetic charges are north pole and south pole. But in your class 10th, you must have studied that suppose you have a magnet, then it have a north pole and it have a south pole. If you break the magnet, then again it will develop a south and a north. If you break it again, then it will again develop a south and a north. It means that a isolated magnetic charge cannot exist. Alone north pole, alone south pole can never exist. Okay, so it means that suppose if you have a point-sized magnet, so it will also have a north and a south at the same point. Okay, simply means that the magnetic lines of forces, it is not possible for magnetic lines of forces to originate from one point and terminate at some other point. If your source of magnetic lines of force is a point source, if you have a point size source, then that point sized source itself will have both the poles, that is north and south. So it means that for a point sized source, the north and south will exist at the same point. So the magnetic lines of forces will originate from a point and will terminate at the same point. So it means that they will form a closed loop. So this is a major difference to means how we can identify that suppose we have a field, how can we identify that the field is an electric field or a magnetic field? So the way to identify, this is one of the ways to identify, that is, if it is forming open loops, then it is electric field, and if you are given with the closed loops, then it should be a magnetic field. Okay, so this is the difference. This is a practical observation that we have till now not identified an isolated magnetic charge. Isolated north pole or isolated means alone north pole and alone south pole is till now not noticed in our this this you can say that in our universe or anywhere, means we have till now never noticed a alone north pole, magnetic charge, single magnetic charge, alone magnetic charge is not noticed till now, right? So this was the difference between electric and magnetic fields. Okay, now we have a relation of epsilon naught, mu naught and C. Epsilon naught is permittivity of free space, this is permeability of free space, and this is speed of light. So we have 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught equals to 9 into 10 raised to power 9. We have the value Newton meter square per coulomb square. And we have mu naught upon 4 pi is equal to 10 raised to power minus 7 Tesla meter per ampere. Okay, so from here you can say that if suppose from here you can obtain the value 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to 1 upon 9 into 10 raised to power 9. Okay, not using the quantity because you will automatically get them according to your situation, and this is 4 mu naught upon 4 pi is this value. So how much is the product of these two? It is 4 pi epsilon naught into mu naught upon 4 pi is equal to 1 upon 9 into 10 raised to power 9 into 10 raised to power minus 7. So this 4 pi will cancel and you get mu naught epsilon naught will be equal to this value will be down, it will become plus. So 9 plus 7, 16, 1 upon 9 into 10 raised to power 16. This you can write 1 upon 3 into 10 raised to power 8 whole square. Now 3 into 10 raised to power 8 is the speed of light. So you can say that mu naught epsilon naught is equal to 1 upon c square. So how much is c? It is 1 upon under root mu naught epsilon naught. This is the relation between c, mu naught and epsilon naught. Absolute permeability, absolute permittivity, and the speed of light. Okay. Any doubt up to this point? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any problem up to this point? Okay, if you don't have any problem right now, it's okay. I will send you the recording of this lecture and you can once again you can go through it, right? And if you find any problem, you can ask me tomorrow, right? Okay, one more topic still we can take. We have 20 minutes and that topic is magnetic field due to a current carrying straight conductor. Magnetic field due to a current carrying straight conductor. Okay, now students, we have a formula to get the magnetic field. Now how that formula will be improvised or will develop in particular conditions, means what form it acquires in particular conditions. Suppose we have a straight current carrying conductor, this one, and let us suppose that we want to find out the magnetic field at this point P, right, which is at a perpendicular distance of A from the current carrying conductor. Let us name this conductor XY and let us suppose that current I is flowing from X to Y. Let us suppose that B is this is the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. So again the same way, we will first take a current element, consider a current element at some point anywhere. Due to that current element we will obtain the magnetic field and then we will integrate that formula over the whole length of this conductor, right? So let us suppose that this is M. The point what you are given is this A is given to you. Okay, you are given with this A, you are given with I, right? You have how much current is flowing through the conductor, you have what is the perpendicular distance of the point from the current carrying conductor, straight conductor. Okay, so your formula must have these values I, A, right? It should not have any other value. So that we are going to do now. So let us consider a current element here, anywhere it is your choice. You can consider at any point your current element. Let us suppose that AB is the current element, IDL. Okay, let us then when we join this with P, okay, and this one. Now since A and B, AB is a current element. Current element means the length is infinitesimally small. When this length will be infinitesimally small, you can say that A and B both nearly coincide with each other. So if they nearly coincide with each other, so their distance from P will be approximately equal out, right? So suppose the point P is at a distance of R from A. Once again I am telling you, my final formula should not have this R, because this we are considering from our side. What is given to us is this and this. The values of the encircled values, they are given to us only. Okay, so our formula must have I and A. Whatever we are doing here, we must have to remove all those terms from the final formula. Okay, so let us suppose that this angle is D phi. Okay, suppose here your angle is phi. We consider how we will start the derivation. We consider a current element ideal AB such that the projection of AB, or you can say the current, that angle APM is equal to phi. We considered a current element such that the angle formed by APM is phi. At any height, with the help of this angle, we can tell you the position, we can relate the position. So at angle phi, we considered a current element, right? Then B is slightly away from A, so if you will connect B with P, there will be a slight change in the angle, and let us suppose that change in the angle is D phi. Okay, see, we have that formula, dB is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi IDL sine theta upon r square. Direction we already know here with the help of right hand screw rule, that the direction at P will be perpendicular to the board and inward. What we need to find only is the magnitude. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are finding dB here, and then with the help of dB we will find B. Okay, so we took a current element at an angle phi. B will, the angle APB will be D phi, because when you move from A to B, there will be a slight change in angle phi, so that can be represented by D phi only. Okay, so we have the I will write the formula here. dB is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi IDL sine theta upon r square. Okay, so now we will remove the other quantities. Okay, for that we draw a perpendicular here. Suppose AN is drawn perpendicular. Okay, and this angle is your, this angle was your theta angle made by the ideal vector and r vector. Angle between ideal vector and r vector is taken as theta. This angle is theta. Okay, since the points are very close to each other, so you can say that this angle is approximately also equal to theta. Now this length, I'm talking about the length only, this length is dl. It is a current element ideal, but its length is dl only. Okay, now from this triangle, how much is sine theta? From this triangle, sine theta, this angle is theta, so sine theta will be AN opposite side by hypotenuse, AN upon DL. Okay, an upon dl is your sine theta. So how much is an? An is equal to dl sine theta. So now you replace this dl sine theta here by an. So mu naught upon 4 pi I upon r square an. Okay, we have this now. Now you can remove this an also. Look at this triangle, this one. Okay, this is your right angle. Now an upon r is equal to, this an is opposite side to d phi, right? According to this angle, an is the opposite side and this is hypotenuse. So an upon r is sine d phi. So an is equal to r sine d phi. Now I told you that if angle is very small, then sine theta is approximately equal to theta itself. So you can say that an equals to r d phi. Now you replace this here, mu naught upon 4 pi I upon r square r d phi, right? Okay, so if I cancel this term, I get mu naught upon 4 pi I upon r d phi. I have this formula right now. Now what I want to remove is r and d phi. I need to remove these two things. Okay. Okay, now you consider this right triangle, AMP. In this right triangle, see, what I want to remove is R and what I want to bring in is A. Okay, so I will relate A and R. So in this triangle, A upon R is equal to cos phi. A upon R is equal to cos phi. Okay, so how much will be R? A upon cos phi. So for this R, I will write mu naught upon 4 pi I upon A upon cos phi d phi. Now this cos phi will reach to the numerator. So finally I get here, what I get equals to mu naught upon 4 pi I upon A cos phi d phi. Okay. Now what I will do, this is my expression for dB. This is my expression for dB. Now what I want to find out is the magnetic field, the total magnetic field. So total magnetic field will be equal to, B is equal to d phi. Integral, sorry, not d phi, dB. Integral of dB. So this will be equal to integral of mu naught upon 4 pi I upon A cos phi d phi. So this is mu naught upon 4 pi I upon A cos phi d phi. Now why I have taken all these as constants? Because you consider the current element here or at any point, right? This mu naught upon 4 pi is a constant value. You can take outside. By the selection, by changing the position of current element at any point, your current in the conductor is not going to change. It will remain as it is. So I can be considered as a constant. Again, you consider AB here or here or here. It is not going to affect the distance, perpendicular distance of the point from the conductor, means A is also constant. It does not depend on the position of the current element. So you can take I upon A constant. But cos phi, this phi angle depends on the position of AB. If you take AB here, then phi will be different. If you take AB here, phi will be different. So you cannot take this cos phi as a constant. It has to be integrated. Once more, you can once again you can identify phi from this value also. When the value with which d is associated, d phi refers to the change in phi. So it means that all those quantities which have phi, they cannot be considered as the constant values. They have to be considered as the variables. So you will have to keep this inside the integration. Now, what should be the limits? This is okay. This is the formula. Now, what should be the limits? Limits must be the values of phi, the minimum value of phi to maximum value of phi. And the minimum value of phi is, you connect this here. What is the total length of the phi, that wire? You connect the end points of the wire like this. Okay. Then this angle is, suppose, minus phi 2 and this angle is phi 1. Okay. Why we have taken minus phi 2? Because this angle is measured downwards in the opposite direction. This angle is measured in this direction, this angle is measured in that direction. Suppose upward direction is positive, so phi 1 is positive but phi 2 is negative. So from minus phi 2 to plus phi 1, you need to integrate it. Minus phi 2 to plus phi 1. Okay, this must be the integration, right? Okay, so what will be the integration value? Mu naught upon 4 pi I upon a. Cos phi integration is sin phi, and the values minus phi 2 to plus phi 1. Now we substitute the limits, upper limit then minus lower limit. So we get here, this is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi I upon a sin phi 1 minus sine of minus phi 2. Okay. Now sine of minus theta is minus sine theta, and minus minus will become plus. So you get B is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi I upon a sine phi 1 plus sine phi 2. This is your formula for finding the magnetic field due to a straight conductor, right? If suppose your conductor is infinitely long, now we can move on to some special cases. Okay, this is your formula to find out the magnetic field due to a straight conductor. Magnitude is this. What is the direction? Perpendicular to the board and inward. If your point P is on this side, if the point P is on this side, then it will be perpendicular to the board outward, given that the direction of current in the conductor is upward from x to y. If this direction will change, then the direction of magnetic fields on both the sides will also get reversed. Okay, so this is the formula. Now, special cases. Special case. Conductor is infinitely long. Infinitely long. Suppose the conductor is infinitely long. Like, suppose we have the wires stretched over the poles with which we are getting the electricity. That electricity department has a stretched wire over the poles, and what is the length of that wire? You can say that it is infinitely long. So for such type of cases, when the conductor is infinitely long, if this point will be infinitely long, this angle will become, phi 2 will become approximately 90, and for this, if this y reaches at infinity, then this will the angle will be approximately 90. So if the conductor is infinitely long, phi 1 becomes equal to phi 2 becomes equal to 90 degree, and therefore B becomes equals to mu naught upon 4 pi I upon a sin 90 plus sin 90, 1 plus 1, 2. It becomes 2I upon a. This is your formula. B is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi 2I upon a. You can write like this also. B is equal to mu naught upon 2 pi I upon a. But when you are solving the numerical, since you have a particular value for this, 10 raised to minus 7, so you keep it 2I upon a. Don't change this as 2 pi, because otherwise you will have to divide this value by 2. So you simply keep this value as it is, so that you can simply replace it by 10 raised to minus 7. So you can say 2I upon a into 10 raised to minus 7 will be the strength of magnetic field if your conductor, if your system is placed in vacuum and you are following the SI system of units. Okay. Direction we have already discussed. Now one more thing, the graph. What kind of graph you will get? B with respect to R. B with respect to R. You can see here the formula was B is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi 2 I upon A. Suppose instead of A, if I take that constant distance, the perpendicular distance of the point from the conductor is R, then you can say that B is inversely, means from here you can say that B is inversely proportional to A, right? If generally what we take, that distance of the point from the conductor is R, so if generally, if suppose I replace A by R, if suppose in this condition I take the distance of point P from the conductor as R, then you can see that B is inversely proportional to R. How the B was proportional to R in earlier case, in general case, it was B was inversely proportional to R square. So in general case, B is inversely proportional to R square. But in case of a straight conductor, current carrying conductor, B is inversely proportional to R only. So when you draw the graph, for B and R, you will get a parabolic curve like this. You will get a parabolic curve. Okay, you are going to get parabolic curve this way. An exponential graph you will get. This is also called as the exponential graph. B decreases with R, but in this case, in the case of a straight current carrying conductor, the decrease of B with R is not that much fast as it is there in case of a general current carrying conductor. Means for a general current carrying conductor, the B will reduce faster as we move away from the conductor as compared to the case